what we're reading, you know, it seems like there's a lot of people that are publishing, you know, many times, several times during the day.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes, I mean, we use the scheduling function a lot, where we'll have stories queued up, and we'll just schedule it for a certain time, and that's when it'll actually surface on the site. Though, but it might be sitting in our post table for, you know, whoever knows how long. I think currently there's like 3 or 4 that have just been there forever and haven't surfaced yet, just because editorial hasn't decided it's time for it to come. Or they're, you know, like, I think actually it's funny, I noticed this today, I'll show you guys. Like, I think there's, out of the top 10 stories in this list, they're like all about porn and sex. So,
It's for February.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's probably, you know, on purpose. We don't want to, you know, push out all of our porn and sex stories at once. Because,
For Valentine's Day.
yeah, or maybe they're saving it for exactly.
Okay, I have one more question real
Sure.
quick. Does this thing keep growing and growing, like Anka was noting how much content, how many images you have?
Yeah.
This can just keep going?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, there's our limits. So the thing about WordPress is it's not really designed to, in its core, to do what we're doing with it, with such a huge data set.
Yeah.
So we've had to do a lot of stuff with scaling, and there's a lot of websites actually that are doing this now. I think emusic.com is on WordPress, and they have a very similar setup to us. So we have 1 master database and then 3 read databases, and we have everything behind caching. We're using Object Cache. We're using WordPress's built-in caching API. We also have all of our output content cached behind Akamai, which is, you know, the leading content delivery network.
Even the dynamic content? Not
Yeah.
just like static files?
Yeah, totally. It's all HTML cached. All the HTML is cached. I think the expiration is what, like 2 minutes. So luckily, like, a lot of the traffic won't ever actually hit our servers. They'll just touch Akamai. So that's how we've solved for our infinite growth and all the traffic that we get. But yeah, I mean, as far as we know, there's not really a tipping point. I guess we'll find out when we get there.
On that vein, so is WordPress serving your content on salon.com, or is Railroad creating caches that then get pushed? Can you talk a little bit about infrastructure?
Yeah. So when you edit something on Railroad, they're sharing the exact same database. Even the caches, there's a setting where you can make sure that there's not a prefix for the domain on the cache. So they're sharing the exact same object cache too. So when someone makes an edit, you know, it gets invalidated properly. And actually, we found out about the whole prefix thing the hard way, because people would make changes on Railroad and they wouldn't show up on Salon. And of course, we were thinking, oh, it might be, you know, Akamai is not getting the right content fast enough. But it was actually because we were prefixing our object caches, because that's how I think that's how they solve for WordPress multi-site, solves for multiple domains. So we just got rid of the prefix.
So what's the purpose of Railroad then, if we're sharing?
So the idea was to have so salon.com is where you would come to read it, Railroad is where you come to edit. And it's sort of to give, well, first of all, Railroad is protected separately. So you can't even get to Railroad without user access. So if you tried to go to railroad.net right now, you wouldn't be able to get in. So it adds a level of security. It also is more of a workflow thing. Like I said, you come to salon.com if you want to read, you come to Railroad, it's just for our team to edit.
But if there was like a vulnerability in WordPress, the salon.com is serving WordPress.
Well, salon.com is actually not serving it, because salon.com is Akamai. So it's not serving any PHP. It's all just static HTML content. Our origin server is serving the actual WordPress, but that's getting the information that's getting pulled back all the time. So, yes.
What about users and comments? So if you're a subscriber to Salon.com and you make a comment, are you in this database or are you somewhere else?
Yes. Yeah, all our comments are hosted by us. And so we've also migrated our 2 million comments from before. So yeah, they're all here. We're looking at intense debate, which is Bo, you did work on that, didn't you? Yeah. We'll talk to you later about that. But yeah, we kind of want to move to a different commenting solution because we have a very devoted comment community, and so they're very vocal about what they want in the comments. And so a lot of the things that we get from using a service like intense debate, where we would have to build it ourselves, would be great. So yes.
Can you talk about how comments are applied to either Salon.com or Railroad? Like, where do they go when a user enters a comment?
So a user should never see Railroad. A user will never see Railroad. But as far as Salon.com, when they enter a comment, it goes into the comments table just like any
So is that a separate database or something?
No, it's the same database. It's just, so are you familiar with the WordPress database, Uma? So it's a table in the database, WP comments. So it just goes into that just like any other WordPress install.
So it's going back to your intro network.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And saving there. And then Akamai is pulling it and putting it on.
Right, well actually our comments are not cached. But because comments are dynamic, of course, and we don't, those come in after the DOM is finished loading. So Akamai will serve you the static HTML, and then there's JSON objects which come in after the fact and put comments on the page.
So after the DOM is done, then it pulls.
Right.
Could you talk a little bit about your premium subscriber content and how you serve that in WordPress? Do you use third-party tools for that? You have a really big premium subscriber base.
That's a good question. So our premium, or core is what it's called now, is actually built using a PHP framework. What is it called? Kohana. And that just is served right within WordPress. I mean, they're both, it just was kind of like, oh, it just works. So as far as premium content, right now we don't have like specific premium content that's available to only certain users within WordPress. We have certain things that are kind of outside of the scope of our website that we give. For instance, tomorrow we're doing a webcast. And that has nothing to do with WordPress. It's just something that only our premium members have access to. So right now, there's not like a built-in paywall or anything. We have all of our content that's on our website is for everybody. So
your AP feed or any other feed, is the software that consumes that feed, is it written in PHP and part of the WordPress framework, or is it external and stuffing data into your database?
It's actually, that's a good question too. That cron specifically is not, it is written in PHP, and it basically bootstraps WordPress in order to use the WordPress functions to insert it into our database, but it's not actually running on the same box as our production. But the actual feed, of course, is AP's own, and that's, like I said, it's just an XML API. I wouldn't recommend using it because right now they're redoing it. And I think that should be a better, prettier JSON object API. Because if you've ever worked with XML, it's a big pain in the ass. So it's so 2005. Anyone have any other questions, or is something you want me to explain more about?
What made you decide to go with Akamai rather than some other object HTML caching solution or hosting? Any of the other ways to go about that CDNs?
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, there were a couple of things. One, we could use Akamai entirely as our output cache, with the exception of comments, so we could just dump it on them. Right now, they handle 85% of our traffic. It never even touches us.
Why can't you cache comments?
Well,
Or do you just not want to?
it's really a matter of trying to figure out how to do it and make them dynamically respond on the page quickly enough
Okay,
for
we'll see
people
their
to
comment.
see that they're commenting,
Yeah.
exactly. Otherwise, it's a 2-minute delay,
Right.
and nobody's happy with that.
You
Yeah.
can't have a flavor with a 2-minute delay.
Yeah. So a lot of it was the fact that, yes, they could handle 85% of our traffic for us. It never even touches us. And the other was, we got a pretty good price point with them.
I believe it now that I heard it twice.
Well, Karen's the one who got it, so.
Yes.
How long did it take you to build this site?
That's
And how much did it cost?
So the actual migration script started in, or writing it, or thinking about it, started in November of 2010.
Yeah. To the time we launched was October last year. So it was about a year. But I mean, if you're counting work weeks, that's like maybe like 3 or 4 years. We were a very small team, and we were all kind of learning WordPress.
How
as
many
we,
people were in the team?
3 or 4, as far as engineering, and then 2 product people.
With a little help from wordpress.com.
With a little help from Automatic, yeah, definitely, and Boche, who they definitely helped us a lot. Really happy to have help from them. But yeah, I mean, it was not an easy process. Like I said, there we have a lot of data, a lot of different use cases, and we were sort of figuring things out and we're still figuring things out. That we didn't realize were a problem, or we didn't realize was an awkward interface. We're just sort of hitting the problems as we go. So, yes.
So what did you not get to do that you're hoping to get to do?
Well, one thing is making comments. So we used to have a feature that was you could preview the comment before it gets done, and that's really simple. It's just one of those things where we have like 800 other things we're supposed to be doing, and now our development team is dramatically smaller, which, by the way, we've got openings. So if anyone really likes what you see and want to be a part of it, please, please, please come find me or this guy. And we will be happy to talk to you. But yeah. Did I answer the question yet? Oh, yeah, that's right. So that's one thing we wanted to do. We also wanted to kind of make the cover a little more dynamic and sort of, use different templates so we could change. And there's a lot of this. We're actually, you heard it here first. We're doing a redesign soon, and so it's going to be drastically different. And so a lot of those things you'll get to see, and hopefully we'll get time to kind of make them more funky and fun. So, yeah. Yes.
I just wanted to hear a little bit about like what your process is when there's a WordPress core update, and what do you do?
Good question. I have no idea. We haven't done it. Yeah, we're still.
The basic process is we've got a couple of different stage development environments, which we're utilizing. So we pick one of those, we make the migration on that environment, and then go through a number of QA cycles, basically trying to see what's broken, what isn't, and then the goal is to do performance and load balance, or load testing, everything against that, and then update as necessary, migrate that from environment to production and move on.
So it's basically just like a really long, slow merge of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It basically fits right into the rest of our development cycle. It's their development instead of ours.
And we never touched core. If we're saying that was
Right,
really
yes.
sacred to us, we did not want to touch core, not screw up upgrades. So obviously it's important to make